has on his patch the famous Loch Corrie. Jim?
Thank you, John. Just say a few words in here now. I have no poster. The return ticket from Ryanair to come to Liverpool is €20. I brought a poster and put it up to €120. Just skip it. There are 4 substantial lakes in the west of Ireland. That is the part of Ireland that's out near the Atlantic, with Galway being the main urban area. All of those lakes have traditionally been fishing lakes, and they've traditionally specialised, in fact, in certain species of fish as well. There was a good income derived from those over the years, from tourists, British, German, French anglers coming to fish those lakes. And the particular time of year that the fishing is good is not the high tourist season. The fishing would be good in April, May, September, those off-season months. So it provided very good income to small villages and B&Bs, etc., out in these rural areas. But the times have changed. A few things have changed. One is the fishing has deteriorated somewhat for various reasons that I'll mention in a minute. And also there's limits on the number of fish now that can be killed in any day for conservation reasons. You can only take out of the lake 4 trout now per day, 1 salmon per day, etc. And these perhaps have declined the attraction of the lakes for the visiting anglers. So there's a discussion at the moment on where the lakes are going now. Are we to keep them as specialised fishing lakes, even for certain species? In other words, Loch Corrib would be a brown trout fishing lake, and that it be promoted as that and maintained as that. And as one of the interests, involved in one of the lobby groups for the anglers want that. We seek to prohibit the likes of jet skis, etc. on the lakes, prohibit the likes of cruiser boats on the lakes, because we think that fishing and some of these other activities are mutually exclusive and therefore cannot develop to their full potential on the lake. So the problems we have in the lakes at the present time, particularly in Loch Corrib, by far and away the biggest problem is alien species and these invasive species that have come in. And I just mentioned 2 of them. One is zebra mussel. The zebra mussel, I think, came from Japan via America, eventually came on boats into the docks in Limerick. From there it spread up the Shannon network, and now it's going all over the lakes. He's a small, good-for-nothing mussel. Apparently it has nothing to eat with. There are some studies being done to the Sumeed somewhere that will eat these fellas, but they multiply. Themselves are not too bad, but it's they multiply so quickly and they stick to everything. And in the short term, they have some good because they filter the water somewhat and they take some nutrients out of it. In the long term, they take all the nutrients out of the water and they stick everywhere, and they're terribly unsightly, etc. The other species that we have is a pondweed. An African pondweed is locally known as Lagsorum major, I think is the Latin name for it. And again, the origins of it are pretty well established at this stage. It was used as an aerator in fish tanks, and obviously somebody just threw it out into the lake Loch Corrib and it has taken off like mad. It covers whole bays now of the lake is covered. And it grows up from the bottom. It will grow in 6 meters of water. It will grow up to the top and will form a sprawl-like top, the top of the water. And no light can go down. And the Central Fisheries Board in Dublin 2 years ago held an open tender for methods to deal with this pondweed. They just invited private companies to put forward solutions. And 5 of the best solutions were tested in small areas. They were given 50 square meters of an area to test out their solution on it. And the solutions varied from divers going down to pulling it to some sort of suction machines that would suck it out of the lake, sucked everything else out as well, and the weight of the weed that it sucked up onto the raft sank the raft. That's what happened. But the only one that proved to be successful and to have potential to be successful was to cut the weed. Now, cutting the weed is not a difficult task, but the problem is you've got to take it out of the lake. It's no good just cutting it and leaving it there because it propagates and it grows. A small little length of it that long will grow. It'll resettle and reroot and start off somewhere else. So you've got to rake it all out and take it out. It's a massive operation. It's costing a huge amount of money at the present time. And all the monies that would be there for developing the lake is now really have to be used to save the lake. There's no quick fix solution. All the solutions being looked at is some little insect that might eat this thing. And apparently there are insects from South Africa that will eat it, but if they're let go, what else will they eat? Lord knows where they'll stop, you know. So the other thing perhaps I would say is that the lakes in Ireland probably suffer from the institutional arrangements that are in place for the management of the lakes. There are a lot of sectoral bodies. In other words, the fishing people look after the fishing, the Department of Marine in Dublin look after craft licensing, etc. The county councils look after pollution. Pollution is a problem, but it's one that can be more easily overcome than some of these invasive species problems. We are looking to the Water Framework Directive to be a great big hope to bring all the organisations together, to put in place solutions, to have a target date. It does require money, it does require implementation, and it will require monitoring. But I think the system and the framework that the Water Framework Directive offers us is our best hope of improving the whole economy and structure of the lakes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.